Palo Alto Networks, one of the leaders in cybersecurity, reported fiscal 2023 third quarter earnings this morning, and the stock price is up about 7% following the announcement. I've gone through the earnings results and I'm going to share them with you here. I'm also going to update my recommendation on Palo Alto stock. Coming into the earnings, I had Palo Alto Networks stock rated as a buy. I'm going to update that recommendation at the end of this video. You're not going to want to miss that, so stay tuned and let's begin. Revenue in the quarter increased by 24% to 1.72 billion. That was a couple of percent better than what management had forecasted. Adjusted earnings per share of $1.10 was up by 83% year over year, also better than what management had forecasted for the quarter. Total billings increased by 26% to 2.26 billion, and as you probably guessed, better than what management had forecasted. Now, total billings are the new sales that the company contracted in the quarter. When the company contracts a sale, it doesn't record it immediately as revenue. It records it as billings, right? These contracts typically last for a duration, several months, several years. And so let's say it secures a contract with the customer for $5 million over the next 2 years. That would be recorded as billings. And then it would be split up over the contract period and recorded as revenue each month or each time period that the contract is recorded for. So that's why billings are so important, because it's a forward indicator of what the company's revenue are going to look like over the next several quarters, several years. RPO of 9.2 billion was up by 35% year over year. RPO is remaining performance obligations. It's the cumulative amount of all the billings and contracts that the company has secured, right? So it has remaining performance obligations of $9.2 billion. So every quarter, as it serves those customers where it signed the deals with, it's going to start recording that as revenue. So that's solid that the company's RPO is up by 35% compared to the same time last year. It's got a strong backlog of contracts that it can continue serving and continue growing revenue. Now, the biggest growth for Palo Alto Networks came from accounts with over 10 million in spending. That came in at 136%. That should be encouraging for Palo Alto stock investors, that its biggest customers are increasing their spending with Palo Alto Networks. That means they're seeing a good return on that investment. They like what that investment with Palo Alto Networks is getting them in terms of cybersecurity performance, and so they're upping that spend and saying, you know what, we like what you deliver to us. We're going to increase our spending with you. That's great news. Palo Alto Networks is forecasting fourth quarter revenue growth of 26%, billings growth of 18%, and adjusted EPS growth of 60%. The revenue growth would be an acceleration from the previous quarter. Billings and adjusted EPS would be a slowdown from the current quarter revenue growth rates. Still, that was encouraging to investors, because what we've seen so far from companies reporting is that they reported good earnings and good sales for the current quarter, but the forecasts for the next quarter and the rest of the year have been underwhelming. So the fact that Palo Alto Networks still delivered solid forecasts for the rest of the year, the next quarter for them, was encouraging to Palo Alto stock investors, and that can partly explain why the stock price was up so much following the earnings announcement. Not only did the company deliver an excellent quarter, but they also expect to deliver another excellent quarter in its next quarter. So solid overall. It's what the community calls a beat and raise quarter. They beat expectations for the current quarter and they raised expectations for the next quarter. So that's really, really good, and that explains why the stock price is up. Now, to answer the question, is Palo Alto Networks stock still a buy, or am I changing my recommendation? The answer is no. Coming into these earnings results, I had recommended Palo Alto Networks stock as a buy. It's one of the stocks I had recommended as a buy, and I'm keeping it there. I'm keeping it as one of the stocks I recommend as a buy. All right, but that's all I've got for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I want to thank the Motley Fool for sponsoring this video. Visit fool.com/Parkev for the 10 best stocks to buy now.